I'm joined now by Ernie Hogan, the president of the Pittsburgh Community Reinvestment Group this morning. Thank you so much for joining us before the record.
Thank you, Andrew. It's great to be here.
Tell me about the Pittsburgh Community Reinvestment Group. What exactly is your organization? What do you do?
We're a 36-year-old advocacy organization. We were born out of the leadership of 9 minority communities who saw redlining happening, not receiving the real resources necessary to revitalize their community. Since then, we've worked and advocated, resulting in billions of dollars of investment in communities. We're a coalition of about 67 organizations now regionally, and we continue to grow and advocate on equitable justice and equal investment for all communities.
As we focus here on home ownership and buying a home, what challenges are there for certain demographic groups in terms of buying a home here in Pittsburgh that would relate to what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing research for now 28 years. We published an annual study. The trends of African American and minority home ownership are headed the wrong direction again. We see a real barrier to that due to the economic conditions that are currently happening. Some of that is easing, and we're starting to see a growth finally in Black home ownership once again. A 2% increase, but we're seeing a fairly large disparative segment from about 30% Black home ownership to about 70% white home ownership.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt, but why is that? I mean, you would think as time has progressed and has moved on, it should be more of a level playing field, but that's not happening?
It's not. I mean, we're seeing double-digit denials for Blacks to whites. Some of that is related to the biggest number one denial rate is credit. A lot of times our working class families, both Black and white, struggle with the ability to save cash to buy a home. And so there are opportunities now out there to change those dynamics and to help with those down payment assistance. We think some of these new programs and products will help change that delta. And we're working pretty hard with our financial institutions locally to do that.
We hear a lot about Pittsburgh being an affordable place to live, but is that what you're seeing?
We have in the past, but Pittsburgh's changing. In a lot of ways, it's gentrifying, and we've seen that coming now for years. Pittsburgh, in the last census, lost almost 20,000 working class families to outside the city to be more affordable options. Those are disparities we need to change. We need to figure out how to create affordable options in the city. I know our administration, the mayor and others are working hard to change that, and we'll probably hear some initiatives soon on that. But I think it really comes down to, can we make a difference, and can we meet the clients who really want to build wealth through home ownership, have an opportunity. And we're trying to do that with our many institutions with special purpose credit products and other things.
Well, let's talk about that. What's out there, for people who want to have that home, who want to be able to afford it. What are some of the programs out there that are going to help? Let's say, for instance, just getting the home loan.
There's been a lot of movement. One that's really been effective, and kudos to that institution. They innovated a portfolio product called Mortgage for Mothers, now Ownership, have created thousands of homeowners through really changing credit score dynamics, changing other dynamics, helping with down payments from that, and in-house counseling. It's the only institution, Dollar Bank, that's really doing financial education locally. There are many institutions like NeighborWorks, Catapult, which is new to the equation, but doing phenomenal work helping build Black homeowners. So I think we've got a real synergy happening amongst our people, all of who are partners and members of our organization.
Well, how do people find out about these organizations that are able to help in these programs? I mean, I don't think, it sounds like it's educating folks that there are things out there and vehicles and tools out there to help them achieve that homeownership goal.
Yeah, we found that a lot of the work we've been doing is just getting the word out, right? And it's not so much the home ownership training themselves, which is strongly encouraged. You have to go into this. It's the single most significant investment you'll ever make, the largest transactional financial commitment you'll ever make. But it's worth it. I mean, the value that you bring is that'll bring you and your family in the future as wealth creation is really critical, and it's a way for economic opportunity to happen for working class families.
You talk about education, the fact that not just purchasing the home and getting the home, but a lot of the money that goes to having the home, people don't really think about or really are not educated in that aspect.
Yeah, I can't stress the importance of pre-purchase counseling to really understand how to buy a home and all the steps to make sure that you're engaging a responsible realtor and that you're working through that you're doing your research on a qualified and quality affordable home loan. We've done a lot of research around the difference between mortgage companies and banks. In most cases, our financial institutions are leading the charge with a much more affordable homeownership product. We're seeing guidance now from the federal government around this, which the three regulators issued a memo, and we're seeing special purpose credit programs that have been around a long time, but banks have been hesitant to use them due to retaliation of government fines. But now we're seeing them work. Many of our institutions have instituted. Matter of fact, PNC just announced this week that they are issuing a $10,000 down payment assistance grant for minority owners and others and low-income buyers to buy homes. $10,000 towards the down payment of a house makes a difference for a working class family.
So there is help out there.
There's significant programs out there. I know Huntington has a great new product, 100% financing, helps you to really look at that. You've got other programs. First National has instituted a pretty nice program, too, for home ownership. We're seeing an increase in those originations now into our neighborhoods. So working in a collaboration has really helped change this dynamic.
Still ahead.
Unfortunately, the buyers who are local to the Pittsburgh market are a little not used to the prices that we're seeing because things have escalated over the last couple of years.
A look behind the curtain, what a pair of realtors are revealing about the challenges when it comes to buying and selling in the Steel City.